Max Verstappen has dominated Formula 1 in 2023. From the first race of the season in Bahrain, he really has been in a league of his own. It has been a matter of when, not if, he is going to win a third straight World Championship in a year where he has opened up the record books. His most recent victory at the Italian Grand Prix saw another record fall his way, as he became the first driver in F1 history to win 10 consecutive races in a single season, surpassing Sebastian Vettel's tally of 9 from 2013. In what surely has to go down as one of the greatest achievements by any driver in Formula 1. And with 8 races still to go, who's to say there aren't more records that Max won't break in the remainder of the season? And that got me thinking, what other records are up for grabs that Max could either equal or surpass in the remaining races of 2023? And just how realistic are his chances of achieving them? Well, let's go through them. I'm actually going to start by looking at 2 records that Max currently holds, but it looks as though he's going to beat his own tally quite comfortably, and that's for most wins in the season and most podiums in the season. Max broke the record for the most wins in the season last season when he won 15 of the 22 races, but he's currently on 12 Grand Prix wins from the 14 races in 2023. So with 8 more races to go, he could well achieve as much as 20 Grand Prix wins, which would better his own previous record by as much as 5. And as for podiums, he is currently 4 off his own record of 18 that he set in 2021 when he won his first World Championship. So I think that given he hasn't finished off the podium all season, this record is very likely to fall. And as for the victories, I think that also will very likely fall as well. So I think that his chances of beating his 2 records are very high in the remaining races, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 chance of happening. The next record is for the earliest time to win the World Championship, but this is something that Max cannot break, he can only equal, as his earliest opportunity to win the World Championship is at Suzuka, which would mean he would win the title with 6 races to go, which was something that Michael Schumacher managed to do in 2002. Max currently holds a 145 point advantage over his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez in the World Championship. So if he wants to win the World Championship at Suzuka, he needs to be at least 180 points or more ahead of Checo to be crowned champion. So what are Max's chances of achieving this? Well, if he won in Singapore with a point for fastest lap and Checo retired, that would mean he'd be 171 points clear going into that Suzuka race. But if he won again with a point for fastest lap, Perez would need to finish at least second to take the title fight to the next race in Qatar. Now, given Checo's form of late, it has been a bit erratic. There is a chance of this happening, but I think it's still quite low. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 chance of happening. Moving on to the next one, and again I'm going to merge 2 records together because they're quite similar. It's the records for the most consecutive podiums and for finishing on the podium at every race over an entire season. Starting with the most consecutive podiums, Max is currently on a run of 15 straight podiums that stretches back to the final race of last season, and that leaves him just 4 off the current record that was set by Michael Schumacher, who stood on the podium at 19 successive races between the 2001 US Grand Prix and the 2002 Japanese Grand Prix. And all of this ties into another record that Michael set in 2002 when he finished on the podium at every single race over that particular season, never finishing below 3rd place, which ironically he only finished in one of the Grand Prix. In all the other 16 races he either finished 1st or 2nd. And Max is currently on course to equal this record, as he hasn't finished off the podium himself in 2023. And I think given how reliable the Red Bull has been and just how consistent Max has been this season, these records are definitely within his grasp. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 chance of happening. Moving on to the next record, and it's another one that Max currently holds, as it's the record for the most points scored over an entire season that Max set in 2022 when he surpassed Lewis Hamilton's record points tally from 2019. When Max won his 2nd World Championship last season, he finished the year on 454 points from the 22 races, and as it stands he is only currently 90 points behind this tally with still 8 races to go, meaning that he could beat this as early as in 4 races time with 232 points still available, and this means that he could finish the year on a maximum of 596 points by the end of the season if he happened to win all of the remaining races and all of the sprints that are left to run in the year. So I think that out of all of the records that we've spoken about so far, this one probably is the most likely to happen. So I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 chance of happening. The next record that we're going to talk about is for the most wins from pole position over a season. Max is only currently 1 behind from equaling this tally. He has won from pole position 8 times this season, but the record of 9 is held jointly by Sebastian Vettel in 2011 and Nigel Mansell in 1992. Now I think again this is another record that Max will very likely break in the remaining races, mostly because of the fact he's managed to convert every pole position he's had this season into a victory. In fact, he's managed to convert his last 11 pole positions into a victory, which again is another record that he's managed to equal. So whenever Max starts at the front of the grid, he is very likely to go on and win the race. So I think that the chances of this happening are very high. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. The final record that I'm going to touch on in this video that Max could break in the remaining races of 2023 is the record for the most fastest laps over a season. Max currently has 6 fastest laps to his name this year, and that is 4 off the current record that is held jointly by Michael Schumacher from 2004 and Kimi Raikkonen, who managed to achieve the feat twice in 2005 and 2008. Personally, I think that out of all the records, this one is least likely to be broken by Max this season. And that's because the fastest lap is generally one that is shared around the teams quite equally. It doesn't always fall the way of the top teams. Sometimes you're going to drive in a midfield team, strap a set of fresh tyres later on in the race to go for the fastest lap. And there's also that strategic and tactical element to it, where you'll get a team purposely pick one of their drivers late on to try and steal the fastest lap point away from a rival team. So I think that out of all the records, this one is least likely to happen. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10 chance of happening. Well, there you have it. That's just some of the records that Max Verstappen could either equal or break in the remaining races of 2023. It really has been an impressive season for Max as a whole. It will surely go down as one of the greatest individual seasons from any driver in Formula 1 history. He really has been a class above the rest this year. But that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and be sure to let me know in the comment section which records you think Max will break this season. And don't forget to like the video and to subscribe to the channel also. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.